Org. And if you've got a weekend open and looking for something fun to do, our guest in studio today has an opportunity for you in Brookhaven, Mississippi. Joining us is Mr. Shaw Furlow, and he is with the Overbrook Song Writers Festival there in Brookhaven. So welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Overbrook Song Writers Festival. It's a
Overbrook
mouthful.
Song Writers Festival, but it's in its supposed to be third year. You came on good things for the inaugural year, I guess you should say. And it was a big hit, but then came COVID. So now we're celebrating your second year, which is cool to think that people still wanted it, even with a year break sort of from it. I want to kick off, though, with the name, because I don't think I asked you that the first year, what inspired the name Overbrook, but it lends very to the essence of the festival. So what's the background of Overbrook?
Well, there are 5 venues. We initially had 6, but one of the restaurants is doing construction work, and they didn't get finished in time. So we've got 5 venues, and those 5 venues, there's something going on all day Saturday, starting at noon. In one of those 5 venues, you'll be able to hear music, songs from songwriters, and it's just, the thing is, it's all over Brookhaven, this Overbrook, and I guess that's sort of a simple way of saying it, but
I love it. I love sort of the cliche of it. I also love that the whole town of Brookhaven's coming together to support your idea. So let's go back 3 years ago. I mean, it's been a minute, Shaw. What inspired you to even bring an event like this? Because this is your baby. This is you thought it, and brought it into life. So where'd you get the inspiration?
Well, these festivals are popping up all over. And I went to one in Baton Rouge, and they had, 10 or 11 venues and hundreds of songwriters. And it was just overwhelming to me to see that there was this community out there. I knew that there are 4 or 5 of us around town, 7 or 8 of us who write songs, and we, but I had no idea there was this massive community of songwriters out there. And so I just decided that I was going to bring one to Brookhaven. And, of course, we don't have the venues. We don't have but 6 venues, 5, 6 venues. So we can't have 15 venues like they do. The one in Ocean Springs is huge. I mean, we're talking about thousands of songwriters down there.
So this is a great economic and tourism sort of event to sort of build on and continue to build that name there in Brookhaven. Okay, it's one thing, Shaw, to say, let's have a festival here in Brookhaven, bring some songwriters in and have a good time. Then you just go knock on your local, restaurants or shop stores and say, hey, I've got this idea, and start piecing it together.
Yep. That's exactly how it happened. The people that own the venues are all friends of mine, and so I felt comfortable asking them, could we borrow your restaurant, and they were all willing. Nobody turned me down. Nobody's turned me down for anything. Everybody I've asked to do something, they've gladly done it.
That's when you're onto something good there, Shaw. Yeah. So what are the venues for the Overbrooks?
Okay. Georgia Blue. We'll be on the deck at Georgia Blue starting at noon on Saturday and going until 6 o'clock. And then at Recess 101, we start at noon and go to 6 o'clock on Saturday. And then we've got Betty's Eat Shop, which is, their schedule's a little different. They go from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and then they open back. They have the 9 o'clock show, which is out on the patio. And last year, 2 years ago, the 9 o'clock show, there were people sitting on top of people. There were so many people in there, out there on their patio and enjoying the music. And then we also have a recording studio in town, Brookhaven Music Studio. Tyler Bridge owns that, and he's hosting a songwriter circle where a bunch of songwriters just get in a circle and start playing for each other. And last time we did it, people paired up and became team writers, co-writers. An actual group was formed.
No way.
Yeah.
Who was the group? Do you know the group name?
No, I don't, and I don't know that they stayed together. I know they did one job together, and then I think it just sort of fizzled out. But at least there was people that were meeting people that had the same interest.
and creativity sparking, and then there's mojo's going, and then you have, you're creating art. You're creating something sort of on the spot. With the success of the first year, which obviously was a year ago, Shaw, I mean, what did that tell you about the songwriting community here in Mississippi that would come out and support, or even just the people in Brookhaven and the surrounding communities would come out and support such an event?
Well, one of the donors, I have to have sponsors for this because we pay our artists to play. Most of these songwriters festivals, you pay to play. In other words, the one I went to in Baton Rouge, I paid $10 to sing 30 minutes, and I drove to Baton Rouge,
right?
And as much fun, and I met a lot of great people. Now, don't get me wrong, but $10 to sing 30, I just didn't think that was right. So we pay our artists, and we give them more than 30-minute time. We give them an hour and 50 minutes, and so they get their whole catalog out there if they want to. I forgot where we were going with this, but
no, that people came out and actually enjoyed it, and that there were groups made out of it. It was energy sparking. I mean, it to me, when you think of festivals, as someone who's not a songwriter or a singer or a musician, I mean, when I think of a festival, just as a patron, I'm just going to listen to the music to enjoy it. I forget, that there are those, even listening to Good Things, that they do doodle and still songwrite, or they do pick their guitar, play their piano at home, or they think of, they enjoy singing in public or have songs, and that there should be something for them to go and showcase talent or to get better at it if they want it.
I learned a long time ago that there are good songwriters all over the world. They're not all in Nashville, New York, and L.A.
Amen.
I've got one of the best songwriters I know lives in Lloydstar, Mississippi.
Where is Lloydstar?
Lloydstar is a community outside of Brookhaven. It's in Lincoln County, but it's barely in Lincoln County. It's and he lives out really past.
No offense to our Lloydstar
none
listeners.
Whatsoever.
And if we've got another one, let us know on the text line, 601-879-4395.
Tony Norton is a songwriter from Brookhaven. And in fact, he just sent me one before I came on the air here today of a new one he had written. And it's sort of a funny song. But there's good songwriters everywhere, and this gives them an opportunity to showcase what they can do.
So everything, you won't hear covers. You'll hear people coming and singing their original art.
Right, and that's the other thing. The difference in this and a bar is that we're not playing wagon wheel. We're not playing covers. And people aren't drinking and having a wild time. I mean, they can drink beer if they want to while they're there, but it's a listening room.
It's a listening room.
It's a listening room, and so they come to listen to the songs, and so that's the best part of it.
As a songwriter yourself, Shaw, is some of it, even if you never turn on the radio and hear your song being played, the top charts or whatever, just having an audience to hear what you wrote and having that interaction with them. I mean, sometimes is that all a songwriter needs?
That is all I need. I've always said that give me a room with 30 to 35 people, and I'm a whole lot happier than if I was in a room full of 200 people that I didn't know or whatever doing music. I just like that intimate feel of a listening room and people listening to the songs, and the artists explaining. They tell the stories about how the songs came about, or one thing or another, and it's really interesting. And it's not a bar scene, although they're in bars, but it's a listening room, and so
I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, but they have a shushing policy, and I think it's the women in the round or that came through. And I thought that was great that you can expect to be shushed if you're being too loud while the singer or the songwriter is sharing their work, because it's not just for entertainment; it's for taking in all the elements and the components components of a song. And we get that opportunity, whether you're a patron or a songwriter or just an entertainer, to do that this weekend in Brookhaven. We've got more coming up next with Schaffer. Out more. You're listening to one of Mississippi's treasures, Miss Tricia Walker. There, coming into good things. Kudos to you, Rhino, for that. And she has her hand in the Overbrook Song Writers Festival that's coming up in Brookhaven this weekend. And she inspired some of the beginning of it, too.
She was the first headliner. When I put this thing together, the first thing I did was I said, I've got to have somebody that's going to draw a name, a big crowd. And I said, Tricia Walker will do it for South Mississippi because everybody down here loves her. And sure enough, we had a full house. And as it turned out, I had a problem at another venue, and so I missed her whole show.
Aww.
I had to go over to another venue to take care of a problem.
Okay.
But I've seen it before, and I just love Tricia Walker.
But that's the life of a festival coordinator,
yes,
or sort of put her owner, right? You're out putting out fires while everybody else is enjoying, the fruits of your labor, which Tricia Walker was the one who told us the shushing story here on Good Things about the women in the round. So I thought that was came around.
She's a good friend.
She is a good friend. And also, I love the story you were sharing with us. I mean, not every songwriter or artist does get to hear themselves on the radio. Tricia definitely has had the opportunity to do that. But you, too, got the opportunity to hear at least a song that you shared with her on the radio. Share that story.
Tricia and I were in Colin together, and then we went to Delta State together. And we recorded a single of a Bob Dylan song on one side, and the other side of a song she had written. And we were just riding back to Delta State one day, and we flipped on the radio station in Cleveland, and there came our song on the radio, and we just sort of looked at each other. I'm 20, she's 19, and we're looking at each other and going, gosh, we've made it. We've made we're on WCLD in Cleveland,
But still, it's a moment, and it's a moment for the artist, and it's also just, a moment that you will remember. And I feel like when you come out and maybe you go to an event or a festival like Overbrook, even if you are not the songwriter yourself, you're just in the area and you want to come listen to some original good music, you're providing that opportunity for the songwriter to have their moment on stage to share an original piece and connect. And you never know when a song is going to connect with you.
I don't play much anymore. I like to play in public, but I just don't play much anymore. And so the last time I played, I was playing in Brookhaven at recess, and somebody hollered out, Mr. Bill's Boy. That's one of my songs. And I said, somebody's requesting a song? Well, doggone it, I'm going to do it, Yeah. And I couldn't believe that they would even know one of my songs, and because it's not been recorded, it's just, I just play it, But every time I play it, somebody comes up to me and says they love that song.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. And you have the hashtag for this event, which is Overbrook, not no S, but hashtag it all begins with a song. What does that mean?
That's a Tricia Walker comment that she told me 20 years ago, probably, and she stayed with it, and I've stayed with it. You think about it. Nothing happens if somebody doesn't sit down with a pencil and a piece of paper and starts to write a song. Yes, there are jazz improv people that could go out and improv and do that kind of thing, yes. But a song that comes from the heart is something special. And it's good to get that out there to the people, I don't know. It's just something about writing a song that's just, and the process is not fun for me.
I would say for many creatives, the process of mulling over or getting something like that out and just perfect isn't fun, but you do it because you feel like you have to.
Once it's out there, once you're finished with it, you go, yeah, I like this, or no, I wasted a lot of time on this one, or something like that. But now I've got a friend in Brookhaven, Charlie Hewitt, who is a troubadour. He was a folk singer back in the 60s and 70s, and he writes nearly a song a day, and that's a songwriter.
it's a machine too.
Yeah.
I mean, but they say, I mean, if you have it, like you should schedule. You shouldn't just allow it to come to you. You should just make the habit of writing every day. Whether it's if you are a writer and that's your creative outlet, just tell yourself, I'm gonna meet the pen to paper every day. Whatever comes out, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, and then your muse will sort of find you. It's funny though, Shaw, because when I see this hashtag, it all begins with a song. Not being a songwriter or in that world, professional world, I think, gosh, you're right. Every moment that matters has a song attached to it, if you think about it. I mean, from your, wedding day to graduations to the first time you met your spouse, or like, all those sort of, or that, and then when you leave, your funeral, or even all the moments that matter usually are tied to a song,
to music,
or even it's phases of your life. We've talked about that here a lot on Good Things. Is you can hear a song and takes you right back to a specific moment, almost down to like what you were wearing or doing, or or whatever that may be. And so I think music is just that language that we all connect to.
I think it was Trisha Yearwood. I'm not sure, but there's a song called "The Song Remembers When," and it's exactly what you're talking about. You hear a song and you say, "Oh man, I was living in Crystal Springs when that happened," and I start thinking about or I was at Delta State when this song was popular, and it takes you back to those places that are happy memories,
Or if you have, the ones that have passed, like, when I hear old gospel hymns, I go straight back to the church pew with my grandparents, right? Like, and they take me right back to there. And then when you hear, certain rock and roll, I go right back to like my parents putting on records and stuff. So, I mean, even if it wasn't your music growing up, because then we all have those, like, if you were out, you were headed to the dance floor if that one came on, Did you remember too? And so, when I see it all begins with a song, man, that can just have so many layers to it. But the back part to that is all of those songs that move us back into a moment of time. It all began with someone sitting down
with a pencil and a piece of paper.
A pencil and a piece of paper, and sort of trying to put their thoughts out there to music.
I've got a song called Muse, and it's just about that, about writing a song, about sitting down and writing a song and scratching it out and not liking this and redoing this, But I mean, it's a fun thing to do once they come out. Once you've got the song written, you got it the way you want it, and then it's a pretty good. You like the song, then it's.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I do not. I was a junior in high school, and I wrote it, and it was terrible. And I just.
But that's your opinion.
Well, I'm a pretty good judge. I've probably written, I don't know, 150 songs maybe. And that's nothing compared to
someone who puts out one every day.
Yeah. Well, Charlie got involved with this thing one time where he got involved with writing a song a week for, I guess it's 2019. And he said there's a guy that challenged him to write a song a week. Shoot, he was knocking them out 2 or 3 a week, And they're pretty good songs. Some of them are. I tell him they're not good when they're not good.
Can you have a good lyrics with bad music? And can you have good music with bad lyrics?
What a horrible combination. Yes.
Which one? Both?
Both. I mean, when you've got good lyrics and you just can't find the melody and you can't find the chord progression, or the other way around, you got the chords, you just don't have any words. And that's frustrating as all get out.
Because usually which comes first, the chicken or the egg?
I write at the same time. I write both. I play a chord on the guitar and I start spouting out words, and, usually I have an idea. I don't just sit down with a blank sheet of paper and say, all right, I usually have an idea of something.
What usually sparks your creativity? Is it a word? Or is it an event? Is it like a phrase? Is it something that just comes from the deep? Or
have we got time for me to tell you a quick story here?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
I was on a motorcycle trip to Cleveland, Ohio, and I was going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And several of my buddies and I were riding.
We're going to pause on that one and leave it with you, and we'll get to that story and more coming up next with Shaw Furlow. Out more. We're learning more about Shaw Furlow and Overbrook Song Writers Festival, which is coming up to Brookhaven there in Lincoln County, starting tomorrow and Saturday, or is it just Saturday, Shaw?
No, tomorrow and Saturday. Tomorrow night at recess, starting at 7 o'clock. We have ladies' night tomorrow night. We have 3 ladies who are going to be performing, and they'll go from 7 to 9:30 or something like that, and all original songs.
All original songs, and all there in Brookhaven. Did I say right?
No, Brookhaven.
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 We're going to get the right pronunciation and spelling of it. But this is special because it's Overbrook, so it's all over Brookhaven, and so it wouldn't be the festival without the town. So why is Brookhaven such a special spot for this particular festival?
I'm going to tell you, you just hit my sweet spot there. I have a song that says, "This is where I belong." And Brookhaven is where I belong. I don't know. I went around and lived in other cities in Mississippi, and I taught school, and I lived in Jackson for 16 years. Loved living in Jackson, and but I went home. But Brookhaven has a great music culture there. We always have. When I was a kid, there were guitar heroes that we looked up to, and then our guys became the guitar heroes, and now we're out of the way, and there are young kids who are guitar heroes. And so Brookhaven's always had this really active music scene. And now, when they added alcohol,
that could be a song in itself.
But when they allowed alcohol to be sold in restaurants and things, then all of a sudden there were venues.
Yeah.
And, you got to have venues, but the people in Brookhaven have just opened up to this. And, 2 weeks ago we had the Brookstock Festival, which is the rock and roll festival that my friend Don Jacobs runs. And that's the rock and roll festival. And then 2 weeks later we have the acoustic guitar festival, with the songs, And so Brookhaven's just been one of those places that's it's just blossomed. It really is the coolest little town in southwest Mississippi. And I like to compare it to, maybe people don't understand, Water Valley. Water Valley is a cool town up near Oxford, and Brookhaven's got that sort of cool venue sound about it, a feel about it, like Water Valley does. And it's just a cool little town. And our Chamber of Commerce is behind this event totally. Our tourism committee, totally behind us. In fact, they're a major donor.
Well, we always encourage people to visit Mississippi first and foremost, and I think this is a great opportunity. It should be phenomenal weather, and you can easily make a day trip. Just come to Brookhaven's downtown, walk around, be able to shop some, catch some good music.
Yep.
it feels like it's a kind of a low-key festival.
Very, very low-key.
And you can take, at least see some new sights or hear some new songs. With that, do you need tickets or anything of that nature,
No,
Shaw?
Everything is free. The only thing that we charge for is the Saturday night show at recess, and we're only charging $5 for that. And we just do that to sort of help out the venue and everything, to make sure that they're covered.
Right, for sure.
So, that's the only one. Everything else is free.
And everything's walkable downtown.
Everything
you
is
sort of
walkable.
kept all of the events there where you can enjoy what you want to enjoy, wherever that may be, and still just get out and still mosey, as we like to do in Mississippi, mosey. From one site to another. And, I think that's the beauty of keeping sometimes something quaint and sort of smaller. And that also helps you weed out or get in some good talent when you're not trying to fill 30 or 40 sort of spots. Yeah. So let's talk about the talent. Give us a little bit of the rundown of what we'll see or who we'll hear or names we may know or not know.
I can tell you a bunch of names you'll never know, you don't know. But one of my favorites is a guy named Bob Bogart. And Bob
is a great name.
Yeah, it is. He's a great singer, songwriter. He and I met in Baton Rouge at the Songwriters Festival, and we were on stage together. And so we became friends and have kept in touch. He travels about 7 months out of the year, 8 months out of the year, in the back of his van. He lives in his van. He just travels into festival to festival. He'll go somewhere and do an open mic. He doesn't get paid, fine. Gets paid, fine. Doesn't matter. And then at the end of the night, gets back in his van and drives to the next place, But
cool.
He is a very cool guy, and he's going to be, he's one of the interesting ones. And then there's, on the flip side of that, is a 19-year-old young lady named Avery Landrum, who is far superior songwriter to me especially, but to so many people I know. She is so good, and she's 19.
That's scary.
I know.
I'm like, where does she draw from her heartache and her wisdom and her tears? I mean, she's 19. She doesn't even know it yet.
I know. She doesn't do that teenage angst that so many of them do. She writes really good songs that are lyrical and provocative. They've got great words, and when I met her in Louisiana at a songwriters festival, and then she moved to Brookhaven. And so when she moved to Brookhaven, I said, okay, I'm going to put you to work. And she's volunteered to do, she's put out posters, and she's done publicity. She's done a lot for the festival.
Sounds like we need to get to know her here on Good Things.
I almost asked her to come up here, but I had some other things to do in Jackson while I was here, and so I said, she didn't want to go out there while I'm doing this.
We can always bring her back and get to know her after the festival. We hope people, though, at least come out to the festival. You never know when your story will be. When we met at Overbrook Songwriters sort of Festival, if there is someone listening who maybe they just picked up their kids in the car rider line for the first day, I hope they survived, and hope you're surviving. But that shows that sort of interest in songwriting, or has that poetic just voice to them at a young age. I mean, how do you help people, or how would you help a parent or grandparent, help them sort of explore that, or to encourage it? Sometimes we don't know how to encourage that kind of art.
Encouraging artists is sort of like encouraging elite athletes. They're going
to make the art anyway.
They're going to do it. They're going to do it. And like Charlie can't stop writing songs. He just can't stop. It's become an addiction almost. He's going to write a song this week or two this week. I was a high school and college band director for 41 years, and so I spent a lot of time with parents helping them encourage their children to stay with it. And that's the main thing. Stay with it. If you write a terrible song, put it in your book and write another song better. And then put that one in your book. Don't ever throw them away. Don't throw anything away. I learned that. I threw away all those songs I wrote in high school, and I've still got the ones that I've been writing for the last 15 years. And some of them are terrible, and some of them are pretty good. Some of them are just songs, just mediocre stuff.
Your thoughts and whatever else.
And so, it's just something that you have to do every day, or you have to think about it every day. You can't stop and just think that, once you start rolling, you just got to keep doing it.
You just got to keep doing it.
And parents need to encourage your kids to start with the piano. Teach them how to play piano.
There is if you had a moment to say, hey, sports are great, but let's also pause and make sure your kids have an opportunity to explore the music arts. What is your go-to of why learning at least an instrument or to be able to read music is being an important thing?
It's the other side of the brain. It exercises the right side of the brain. You think about it, you play a piece of music, and once you play it, it's gone. It's not there anymore. It's not like art that you hang on a wall or a book that you can read and put on a bookshelf. Once you play that song or that piece of music, whatever, it's gone.
I've never thought of it that way.
And so, I just think that learning an instrument is like a discipline. It's like learning algebra. Nobody expected us to ever use algebra when we learned it. They expected us to learn how to reason, how to go left or right, to figure it out. That's what algebra is all about.
Some of us didn't get that. But...
I didn't either. It took me a long time to figure that out. But it's the same thing. You just got to keep plugging away at it. And if a parent has, I remember my son was in the 6th grade, and my wife and I were lying in bed one night, and I heard "Stairway to Heaven" coming from down the hall. And my wife looked at me, and I looked at her, and she said, "Is that Cole?" And I said, "Yeah."
Either that or we've transitioned.
Yeah. And he was 6th grade, and he had already started playing. And so we encouraged him to play. And now he's a producer here in town and a composer. And
pretty cool.
Yeah,
well, we encourage you to get out and go to Overbrook Song Writers Festival. They have a Facebook page. I'll make sure I share it in the Good Things Facebook group. Well, Shaw, we look forward to having you back next year to promote your festival. And you guys stick with us. We've got more good things for you coming up.